Hello and welcome to another episode of Power On Podcast Portable. How is everyone doing out there? My name is Sushi B, and with me, of course, is the wonderful, awesome, magnetic Taylor.
I'm a
also known
wham.
as a little bit of 553. He draws people in.
Ooh, I'm a
How
wham.
you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. I was so.
Pretty good. Without revealing too many details, it has been a long time actually since we've done a recording, so this is a little exciting to get back into it. And we've hopefully chosen a very good game to plunge back in.
Hopefully. That or we bit off more than we can chew, getting back
Maybe.
into the groove of things.
Ooh, a little bit, yeah, maybe. This one did take a little time to put together for various reasons.
I'm
but-
blaming it all on you.
you can blame it on mostly on me for sure. I was definitely
I was ready.
a little behind the ball on it. But anyways, I regardless of that, I would like for you to take the reins for the most part here, because this is a franchise you're much more knowledgeable about than I am. I've only played a few games in the series, so I just think that it would be a lot better to defer to your, not necessarily opinion, but your fountain of knowledge when it comes to this franchise. So why don't you introduce it today? Usually I do, so why don't you go ahead?
Oh, I see how it is. You're shirking all, and I have a phone call going in the background.
Of course you do.
I do. Of course I do. Oh, it's actually not my phone, so I'll just blame it on other people. Anywho, without further ado, we're actually going to be talking about Fire Emblem Deka no Ken, or as it's known in North America, strictly as Fire Emblem.
That is correct.
It was not the first Fire Emblem game I played. Was it for you?
Yes, it was the first one actually.
As I said,
I did not play that.
because it came out in like 2003, towards the end of the
I
year.
believe 2003. I didn't play it till a little after that. I have a weird story with this. I couldn't find the game for a while, and I had a friend who I had traded games with. He lived in another place, and I just asked him, he's like, if you're going to trade something with me, why don't you get me Fire Emblem? I can't find it. And he was like, I'll see what I can do. And he kind of hemmed and hawed. And then, like, lo and behold, it came in the mail one day, and I was just like, whoa, this is awesome. And you got me Fire Emblem. I can't believe it. So it was, I don't remember what I traded for. I think I gave him a couple of Dreamcast games or something at the time. So, but
Okay.
yeah, it was cool to get it in the mail, and I was like, oh, this game looks great. And had a way with it. So.
I would say I didn't play this until, I want to say, 2005 or something, 2006, and it was
not far after though.
No, but I mean, but I had played Sacred Stones before.
Oh.
So I'd seen somebody playing Sacred Stones, and they're like, oh, I was like, that's look kind of cool, and they're like, oh, give it a shot, and I blitzed through it, and they're like, oh, okay, if you liked it so much, try this one, give this one a go, and so I played through it, and I didn't dive into everything because this one has a lot of stuff you can kind of you have to be kind of pointed in the right direction to be able to uncover some of the things in it there, which is the case with pretty much all the Fire Emblem games, but this one does have a few unique bits about it where it has pretty much the same story but being told through different perspectives.
Right.
And so that kind of adds to it. And in doing so, playing it this time around, I actually did all of that kind of stuff, so it helped uncover something I didn't quite realize about one of the characters that we'll talk about later. But
right.
Yeah, so.
So I got a question. When is the first Fire Emblem game is on the Famicom? What was that, in the 80s, I guess, right?
Early 90s. I think it was like 90 or 91.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you know, I've never really found any details, and perhaps someone listening could lead us in the direction. What's Nintendo's reasoning for not bringing out Fire Emblem when it initially released with some of the other titles? I don't really know what their reasoning was, if they were just thinking, oh, this is too difficult or whatever, but I mean stuff such as Earthbound or Mother 2, whatever, that kind of came out. I don't really understand what's their what's their backstory. No, that one didn't, but but still, that came out a lot earlier than Fire Emblem did, and Fire Emblem had been a series for quite a while, so I don't really understand.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I really have no idea.
Maybe they thought it's too much to translate, but it's not as if they hadn't translated other big games, so
Mm,
I don't know.
I don't know. I'd almost kind of notched up towards being a bit difficult to kind of bring it over for one reason or another.
Yeah, there must be some reasons, but this one is what, the sixth or seventh entry, right?
I think it's the seventh.
Okay, so I mean,
So
it took them. I mean, there were 6 games prior to, and then they finally just thought, well, let's just bring this one on the GBA of all things.
I was going to say, yeah, like, and it's kind of weird that they do that because I think it all kind of hinges on Melee, Smash Brothers Melee, because they had Roy and Marth, and they had these characters do really, really well. And so they brought over the first Fire Emblem, like the first Fire Emblem game for the North American audiences because of those 2 characters being received really well, which is kind of weird. You'd almost kind of figured they would have done the 6th game because that's also the GBA and that's actually Roy's story. But the one that we're going to be talking about today is actually a prequel to that, and it's all about Ellawood, which is Roy's father, and what kind of happens all before that and stuff, which is kind of an interesting bit because the Fire Emblem games they have been done in, like, you know, your typical story 1 and then the kind of the sequel with the Super Famicom, like Seisen no Keifu and what is just Genealogy of a Holy War and Thrakia 776. They it's like a interquel. So the genealogy is, there's a 10-year gap. There's a gap between 2 generations of lives, and that's when Thrakia takes place, is in that gap, which is a pretty nifty way to do it. And then they decided to do a prequel, which is, I mean, it kind of, Lynn's character is a little bit of a question mark because it doesn't quite translate. I mean, you can pin her in certain things, but she doesn't come up at all in the previous story, so it's kind of but it's still done really well. So
No, it's funny because for a long time most people just thought that the first like, I guess, strategy RPG to come out on a console was Shining Force, which is essentially Sega beating Nintendo to the punch in North America, and I'm not sure, but probably Europe too, which, you know, it's just a rip-off, essentially, of the original Fire Emblem game, which is kind of interesting when you think about that.
Yes and no. I mean, they are
not
different.
exactly,
Like,
but
I think I remember
I mean, the story is pretty close and
well,
stuff. I mean,
I think I remember reading somewhere that the Shining Force guys saw Fire Emblem, and either they didn't even think of it when they were making Shining Force, or they're like, yeah, let's not be like that. Because I mean, they had the permadeath, which
there's some differences for sure.
Right.
But I mean, if you look at the story and stuff, you're kind of like, okay, that's
more
kind
of
of similar.
a fantasy trope, I would argue. Than
that too. But anyways, but that's just so interesting though. That came out and that series has kind of died out, right? And Fire Emblem's been going the whole time, and there's a whole nother topic we could talk about there. But anyways, why don't we start getting into Fire Emblem here? And now, I enjoy the plot and stuff like that, but having this game, especially this was the first game, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of confusing because you're thinking, well, there seems to be all these connections to other things that are supposed to be going on, but you're not really given everything because you only have so much game here to spread around. And it seemed quite obvious even the first time that I actually played this maybe 10 years ago now or something. I played through the Ellawood story, and I was thinking, well, what is going on? There's just a lot of details. Even the ending, I'm not going to say anything about it other than it's just sort of quite like, like it doesn't really clarify much. You sort of get this idea that something's going to be clear, and then it just sort of ends. Not on a big cliffhanger, but just more or less this question mark. Sort of
because that's
Empire Strikes Back ending, right? Like, oh, there must be more to this kind of thing.
Well, that's because it's a prequel, so they're kind of giving it to.
But they don't tell you that in the instructions or anything, so you don't know that. And it doesn't help that they've Nintendo sort of like, okay, we'll release this one, but not these old ones and this and this. I mean, Fire Emblem is kind of screwy in North America.
So the story in this one isn't bad. I don't.
It's not bad,
It's
but
not bad. Like, and having played the the binding sword, like Fuing no Tsurugi, it's it meshes well for the most part, but it's, of course, there are some discrepancies where you're kind of like, the translation for the English one, there's a bit of a little bugger up there as well for some of the things from what I've heard, and so, like, because I played this one in Japanese this time around, so, and I can't remember, I can't remember 8, 9 years ago how it was in my head when I was playing it that time. So, but I personally, I would, yeah, it's a good, I think, a good starter for the series. Unlike Awakening, because I think Awakening is garbage, but that's another.
I still haven't played that one, and I'm terrified to play it because there's a lot of games that you and I don't necessarily, not, I wouldn't say disagree on, but just don't have the same view on. But Fire Emblem is something I'd like to hear your opinion on, and sort of, I feel a similar opinion as yours. But just because you've played the other ones, you have much more understanding of what's going on. And when you say that Awakening sucks, or that you dislike it, maybe not that it sucks, but you dislike it, I look at it and I'm like, wow, I bought that game. And now I'm not sure because Taylor's is not that good.
I bought it and sold it. I sold it before it came back.
That's the only Fire Emblem game I think you've ever sold, right? So that's saying a lot. So it's, I don't know, but anyways, we're not talking about that.
Just so that people know, I just think I don't like how they do the story. The story is not very good. Play mechanics are fine, so if you just wanted to kind of do it for that, that's fine. No, it's a little too generic, I think, in its maps, but yeah. But yeah, that can be a whole nother thing for another time. But yeah, for this one, actually, there's a lot of stuff going on for it, and they kind of bring about this tutorial mode, if you will, for for Fire Emblem here, and it's kind of it's Lynn's story, sort of. It's kind of her introduction into the higher echelon of people in the world there, and which is Alib. I can't remember what how to pronounce. It's like Alib, I think, for the continent. You're gonna back me up on this, or you're just gonna have me ramble?
Ramble.
Son of a!
I don't know. You're probably saying it right.
I think it's called Elib, or Elib. And so it's kind of it's showing how she gets into the whole fray, and it's what is it? 10 chapters, I believe.
The first chapters.
Yeah, and it is super easy because it's a tutorial.
It's unfortunately way too easy, though. It doesn't really give you a sense of what is actually coming.
No. And I think it's good because it's a tutorial, because it gets you into the mode of it, but it doesn't throw a lot at you, which can kind of come back to bite you later on, because you're like, why didn't...
I would suggest it does. I mean, they should have at least cranked it up a little bit on maybe the last 2 or 3 chapters to give you a sense of some danger. But even if you put units in complete danger, surrounded by other enemy units, there's very low chance they're going to die. They're probably going to dodge. They might die, but they're more likely to dodge or avoid attacks and things like that. So.
And the thing is, this is one of those rare instances in Fire Emblem that, if I recall right, if a character does fall in combat during this part, they still come back after that company is interjected into the storyline.
To the main storyline?
Well, yeah, after
or like the continuation.
Right. Well, when
Lynn's
Tales finishes, and then you pick if you're playing for the first time, when you go through Ellawood's story, when Lynn's characters and her compatriots are joining into the fray, if any of them had passed away during that initial part, I think they come back in this one. I could be wrong, but I do remember that being the case.
You might be right. I don't recall that. So. Maybe I didn't have characters die, though. It's hard for them to die.
Right. So. You have to be doing a lot wrong. I mean, yeah, the certain character, like the Ninian, the dancer.
She's all right, I guess. But anyways, yeah.
I don't think you use her, but I think you use Nils. I think it's the bard,
for
the first part.
Elwood?
No,
Oh,
for Lynn's part. I'm trying to remember. I think it's, uh,
that's a good question.
I think it's Nils. Is it Nils?
You don't use Ninian very much
No, but
in general.
you use,
She's only in a
yeah,
couple of battles where she's actually playable.
it's Nils.
And
It's
then
Nils.
Nils is used a lot more, yeah.
It's Nils at the beginning because I remember because you need to do something specific with him, get him to level 7,
Oh,
during the
that's right, too.
prologue. But
Open,
yeah, so
an
and
extra
it's
chapter.
right, and
That sounds right.
I mean, yeah, if he gets hit, he goes, but
Yeah, he goes pretty fast.
right,
He can't take even one shot, pretty much.
right, and so yeah, but yeah, it's I think as a starter for people who've never played Emblem before, it's a good start because you have a lot of different types of units. Which, I mean, if you're playing it for the first time, you're not going to really have any idea what does what.
Mm.
Just going to be like, okay, I have some random, horseman.
Dude here, yeah.
And
this girl can do this.
right, and I got
Luckily,
this.
though, this game has a fantastic feature with the right trigger button that allows you to get sort of details on weapons or characters or enemies. This kind of stuff is actually really nice. It's a great addition.
Right, and it's good to kind of have that so like what the characters are and stuff. And I mean, if you select a character, you can move them around and it'll show it. And you can also select enemy units to see how far they'll go and their attack range and stuff.
Right.
And that generally helps. But I mean,
Takes a lot of strategy and a lot of wear on the eyes on a GBA game. So.
Oh yeah, especially if you're playing on the old GBA
right
handheld there. And but yeah, they're throwing a lot at you, and I think that this is a good start for the series, because if they started off with something like the original Fire Emblem, okay, that makes sense. But in the same hand, there's probably going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, yeah, fuck this, I'm not, what?
Right.
Because the
That's
original,
a little archaic now.
right, well, even back then, it would probably have been really aggravating for a lot of people, and they probably just been like, yeah, we're not doing this, because there's so much stuff that you gotta do for that one. But this, however, keeps things basic. They kind of teach you that you should be visiting houses, to, that certain units can steal things, and, you can do these sort of things. And it's a good kind of like, here you go, here's a little start.
Right. But this is over time the evolution of the series and stuff, I presume. And the developers being like, well, we should probably try to ease this up here and there and stuff. I mean, the thing is, the first 10 chapters are super easy, but even Elwood's stuff isn't too bad. There are challenging chapters, but compared to Hector, it's still a lot easier. Hector's stuff is a lot more challenging.
Well, but that's the thing, though. Hector stuff isn't available until after you beat the game. And I think that's a good way to kind of do it, is that, all right, you did this. There's not only just a normal mode for this sort of stuff, there's also a hard mode too, where I think you get lesser units, the enemy units are a little higher level and stuff like that. So it's not just that it's slightly harder.
Do you get less units? I'm not sure about that, but maybe there's more enemy units, probably.
I could have swore that you only get, like, at least in Hector's hard mode, you get only, like, 7 or 8 units to pick from and stuff on maps.
Oh, on maps, not necessarily less characters.
No. I just mean for the maps, and
you can only take so many into your party.
Into battle, and that's the thing, is that with this game, you get around, around 10 to 12. Sometimes a little higher, depending on the map, but it's kind of around that range for most of the game.
Right. Around that. Sometimes you get up to 14, 15.
Right.
And then the odd time, I think, under 10 once in a while, but usually not that far under 10. So. But, okay, well, just to sort of wrap that up a bit, I mean, which sort of path do you find you enjoyed more?
Well, this time around, I played through all of both Lynn and Elwood's story, and I beat that. And then we were talking about doing the Hector mode as well, because there are certain nuances that don't get explained unless you play through Hector's. And so I did that. And there's certain things that certain parameters that you have to meet to get to do some of the things in Hector's, which will allow you to get like the definitive ending kind of thing, I guess you'd say.
Mhm.
And some of that stuff, by golly, it could be yeah, like it would probably be really, really difficult. However, for me, it was a breeze. Like
Mhm.
I don't don't want to like sound a little obnoxious about it, but when I played through Hector's story, I must have been in the zone and getting some major random generated number goodness because I was just all the characters that I was using were just beasts. They just would not tolerate any of the Black Fang.
No tolerate.
No, no,
No
like
tolerance.
no tolerance, and like even the one that you need to do to unlock like a super secret chapter.
Mhm.
Like, did you do that as well, or?
Is that the side quest to the side quest?
Right, right, right.
Yeah, I think I unlocked that one. I
Like,
don't know how, but I think I did.
well, because you have to get Nils to level 7, and then you also have to beat. You don't technically slay him, but you have to beat one of these kind of enigmatic. It's kind of like an enemy, but he
The
doesn't.
mage dude.
Mm,
He's got the seal block. That one.
right,
Is
right,
that the
right,
one?
right.
Yeah. You got to go around and kill everybody but him, kind of thing, in a certain amount of turns and blah blah blah.
Right,
It's fairly challenging.
Kishuna, I think is his name. Um,
Probably, yes.
because some of the names might be a little
I, th-
different than
I
the.
think you can fight him at some point, or you can fight him near the end, but you still got to do another chapter, I think, after that one where you have to do something similar. And I think the second time I just thought, I'm not doing this the second time. I don't really care about
Oh
this
yeah,
guy kind of thing.
that's like near the end, and if
Right, and you
you
got
have
to
to
do
beat it
another thing, and
within.
then you can fight him.
You have to beat that chapter, like I think it's like Cog of Destiny, where you're like blitzing through, and there's a
Something.
storm of enemy units and
Right.
stuff. And
I just thought, you know what, I don't really need to do this. This is not that important. So,
so I did that. I did it all.
mm,
And like Fire Emblem is one of those series that I like to keep all the characters alive. And after I've played it through once, I'd like to look at some of the things that yeah, you could go and test trial and error to figure out some of that stuff, but it's going to take you
mm,
ages. So after looking to see what I needed to do, I just proceeded to do it my own kind of way, kind of thing, and just be like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not, and so I did that and got that kind of stuff. I personally, I mean, I think, um, I think Hector's story, his version of things, are a lot more fun.
mm.
Just because I think it's a little bit more challenging, especially on hard mode. It's a lot more challenging, but yeah, that's just me. How about yourself?
Yeah, I would probably go with Hector's story as well. This time I just didn't have a chance to get all the way through Eliwood's. That's obviously I'd done it the first time I played the game because Hector was available already.
Mm.
More or less, a lot of it is the same.
Mm.
Not all of it, obviously, but a lot of the chapters are the same or very similar. Hector does have a few more extra bonus chapters that you can do. I found Hector, I mean, I haven't played Fire Emblem in a long time, so I found a lot of it was quite challenging at times. And this time, the first time I played the game, yeah, characters had died. I just thought, you know what, I just like to play the game. I want to enjoy this. I don't really feel like going through the heartache of having a character die and then being, I got to do this chapter again. I just didn't do that. But this time I did. I decided to try to recruit all the characters. I might have missed somebody, one or two like that I just didn't know about, but
Mm.
I did all that kind of thing, and I enjoyed it. But there were definitely some chapters where somebody moves in the wrong position by yourself, not having thinking ahead kind of thing, or whatever, and then somebody gets shot down or whatnot.
And there goes 45 minutes of your life down the drain.
Usually not that bad, but I had a couple of times, yeah, where it was literally the last guy down, and I just had moved into the wrong position kind of thing, and they got smoked. But generally, it was usually early on in the battle, so you're not too angry about restarting. But anyways, yeah, I'd probably say Hector as well, partly too, because Eloid's a bit of a board. He's okay, but he's a bit of a cardboard cutout, whereas Hector's got a lot more personality.
Mm.
And I like his interplay with Lynn a lot. So
All right.
Lynn is probably my favorite, though. Out of the three, Lynn is probably my favorite character. I really enjoy her sort of little bit of backstory and just the mentality she has and stuff. So.
Mm. I'd say yeah, they're like out of the lords, it definitely goes to the nod goes to Hector because
Mm.
he's one of those characters that if you he gets that like the no the no damage kind of thing a lot, or he's a tank. He's a beastly tank.
Later on, he becomes. At first, he's tricky to use at first because the axes are hard to sort of put together sometimes. Just we'll get into this in a moment, but we'll talk about the sort of weapon wheel there that they have and stuff like that.
Right.
Or whatever they call it. I forget.
The weapon triangle. But the thing that always kind of I liked about Fire Emblem is that they do have these little parameters to unlock these kind of secret side Gaiden chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And when you play it through the first time, you're not going to know these things unless you looked up some sort of guide or something for it, and then you're like, oh, okay, you're getting into it. But it feels a little bit more rewarding to go through it once and be like, okay, and then sometime down the road, be like, you know what, I want to see all this other stuff is if you like it a lot, and then you can actually go through and do that again, and it's kind of nice to be able to have that chance to do it, which is why I like the Fire Emblem games a lot. Is one of the reasons is that you can there are certain characters that if you try to use, they're going to suck.
Right.
But some of them, they usually give you enough to where you can kind of mix and match and use certain ones, and they'll still be pretty good, and use others that will end up pretty good as well. So it allows you to kind of mix and match and do certain things and stuff. And those kind of things I really, really just enjoy about the series as a whole.
Okay.
So you wanted to talk about the weapons triangle, or did you?
Just very briefly. I don't want to get into it too heavily in case someone is just learning the game and is curious what this is. Just basically, it's this triangle shape that shows between three weapons. They're all balanced out, basically. So you have spears, or lances, I guess, swords and axes. And one is always more effective against another one, while being weak against the third one. So let's say we have someone using swords. Swords are effective against axes, but they're incredibly weak against lances. And then what axes are strong against lances, but then weak against swords. And lances are strong against axes. Swords, and weak against axes. So it's really a nice dynamic. It works really well. Often characters can use more than one weapon, so you can set it up like if you're putting your character into position, there's a bunch of sword enemies coming toward you, you would set up with your lance. So it's really a nice, effective way of balancing out strategy weapon-wise. We also have a magic triangle as well, which is pretty neat.
Dark magic, light magic.
Dark magic, light magic, and animus, is it?
It's animus.
Animus. And so dark magic affects animus.
Animus to light, light to dark.
Animus, there you go, thank you. No problem. So I really like that. It's a really cool dynamic. It works really well, and it adds a nice little flavor to the strategy as well. So.
I would say it's easy enough that it's not entirely too convoluted, because I know certain tactics games. One example, if I'm remembering it correctly, I love this game, by the way, Final Fantasy Tactics. It has tons of different...
boomerangs and, if I remember, all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, it has tons of different jobs and stuff, but then, if they have shields, it's hard to attack them from the front, so you have to get behind them or to the side and all this, which is cool, which is nice in a way, but it can leave people very... It just kind of like, right. Mentally weird.
Ogre does similar.
Well, it's the same guys.
Right.
So
Quest, is it? No, what's the name of the team?
Is it Quest?
I forget.
I don't quite remember. I just remember this. The creators. The creators are the same. The same group of peeps. Yo.
Right.
But
and that's their vibe, right? That's how they set up their games. That's cool. It's just a lot more of a
commitment. Well, I mean, Fire Emblem is too, but I mean...
It is, but it's a little more... I don't want to say generic, but it's a lot more user-friendly if you're just diving in.
In some ways.
Well...
Permadeath.
Maybe Shining Force is the best then to start with. This is pretty easy. Shining Force probably the easiest, I guess, out of the bunch, but except for Eternal Eyes. Ugh, that one's terrible, but that one's just way too easy. But anyways... Yeah, that's all I kind of wanted to mention. I just really like the dynamic between those weapons and stuff.
And this is kind of a thing that needs to be brought up is what is your feelings on permadeath?
Oh, I don't mind it. For this kind of game, I don't mind it. I suppose if it was a just turn-based strategy, turn-based RPG, or like an action RPG or something, I might not like it. And I don't mean as in roguelikes. I just mean as if you have a party of characters and someone dies for the action RPGs. But for this, it kind of makes sense. You're in a war, and if you're going from battle to battle and somebody died, it would kind of make sense. I mean, I know we're in a video game world, and so anything is possible in some regards, but I don't mind it. I mean, I know some people absolutely loathe it. They just despise it, but I don't really find it as a game-breaking problem or anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think it helps heighten the sense of
Danger.
well, of caution, so you're not just with reckless abandon, which you can get away with in Shining Force.
Oh
just
yeah,
be like, go,
assault, go, and then he's just going in front and get bashed. But
and then you're like, oh, don't worry, we'll bring you back.
Peter can come back forever. So, but there's a reason he's a phoenix. At least that makes sense, right? That one makes sense. But anyways, yeah, you do throw caution in the wind a lot. But that doesn't. Not that we're talking about Shining Force today, but that doesn't mean that game is any less challenging because of it. It really depends on the balance of game, right? It might not work as well in Fire Emblem. It might just really make this game too easy then. It's a challenging game, and it needs that permanent death feature to make it still challenging all the way through.
Mm-hmm. I would, yeah, I kind of.
It's just ingrained in the series too. I don't know if you took it out, if that would really help the series. Maybe if you wanted to make some sort of easy mode for newcomers, that would be fine. But
yeah, I think that's what Awakening did, was allowed you to choose that where they didn't die permanently.
Okay. Well, I don't mind that. If you have the option, I don't really mind that. But at the same time, I don't have this problem with the developer saying, well, we want to have this in the game. I've never understood that when people complain about certain things, the way a developer did something in a game, unless it's actually game breaking, right? Or somehow it makes the game unplayable. So this does not make the game unplayable. It's just a part of the universe. It's a part of the gameplay. So I don't have an issue with it. Anyways, why don't we play a quick round of 10 Degrees of Taylor? Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, goodness.
So this one is we're gonna just try to do rapid fire here. It's gonna be the classes in this game.
Okay.
We're gonna do the classes. So there's quite a few. So it's a little hard because in this game you can level up your classes to a higher class. So how do you want to do that? Do you want to just bunch those together, or do you want to do them separately still? Because there are some differences, obviously, right? Some classes that start out are different than when they are promoted. So I was thinking we should probably still separate them, but
probably
just mention that they're together, sort of, after you level up. You cool with that?
I'm cool with that.
Okay, so I'm gonna just do the first 3 characters instead of classes. We'll do Lynn, Elwood, and Hector as their own class because they sort of are.
I'd say they are the lords after all.
Right, they're lords. So what do you think about like Lynn? Let's give her a score out of 0 to 10.
Oh goodness, you're going that way.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to explain all.
I'd say 8.
8? Okay, what about Elwood?
Elwood, his is pretty beastly for me this time around, so I'm going to give him 9.
The first level he's at? Before he gets promoted?
Both of them, like I said, the RNG gods were shining on me through these playthroughs. Okay. So, yeah, it was 10.
Yeah, well, more so when he becomes a Great Lord. As you said, he becomes almost indestructible by, like, level 16. Like, almost nothing can crack him.
Right.
Except for magic. Magic does harm him quite a bit. Magic is the one thing that he can't withstand. But any weapons, he's just like, yeah, whatever, get out of my face kind of thing.
Right.
So, and Elwood gets really good at after he gets promoted. Lynn sort of just stays the same. Even she doesn't really become much more powerful or much less powerful. What do you think about the mercenary? This is one I'm kind of like,
Uh, I didn't
Didn't use them much. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, I tried to, but then I always kind of go, nah, we'll go with somebody else.
Yeah.
I would probably give it about 6.5.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna give them just like 5 average. What about the hero? This is the upgraded mercenary.
Those are of course beastly once they're like at a certain point.
Mm.
But like by end game, and end game's always tricky because those are always like, yep, you should have been doing much more at this point.
Right.
I would probably put that at an 7.5.
Well, that was obviously debatable in your brain.
Well, I was gonna
What
say
about-
8, but
I didn't use too many of the heroes. I'm probably gonna look at about 6. So, what about the thief?
no, I don't. Like
Come on, admit it. They're
overall,
poop. Except for what they can do.
right?
They're fighting. They're poop. I mean,
Well, of course, yeah.
1 or 2 damage most of the time.
They're-
You're
yeah.
lucky if you get 5 or 6.
They're meant.
I think
for-
the archers are one of the few they can sort of get at.
I'd give them a 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3. They're really useful at getting items. Obviously, they get some awesome items.
Right.
The assassin,
If they can do the one-hit KO thing, which is when the
which
spring,
is quite often,
which well, I would say with
25 to 30% or something. It's pretty
with
high.
Jafar, that's because Jafar
Oh,
is
Jafar is pretty awesome.
pretty insanely awesome. Yeah, yeah, but in the same hand, he kind of pissed me off when I had to recruit him in that chapter.
That is a pretty stiff chapter.
Well, especially in Hector's version, because
Mm.
he likes to die in that one.
Right, you gotta separate your team properly on that
Mm.
one.
Well, even then, there's just sometimes where it's impossible because
Plus, you're trying to protect what's the girl's name?
Nino.
Yeah. Ugh.
but the assassin one, I would probably give it about. I'd probably clump it with the hero there around 7.5 or so.
I'm gonna go 7.5 as well. Just they don't do too well on damage, so,
Mm.
especially magic, but they're pretty good. I'm probably gonna say it wrong. The Mirmdun.
The mirror.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
saying
I like these guys.
2.
Okay. See, I like these guys, but
I like them, but they're
they
not effective.
don't like you need to like coddle and caress them and grow them and shine
When you get
giant
Guy,
rays.
you're thinking this guy's gonna be awesome, and then you get him and he does 2 or 3 damage
He's-
most of the time. And
he's-
just what?
he's pretty good for like
not at the start.
no, you have to
Say
grow.
coddle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, my
Yeah.
little guy, my little guy.
Yeah, you do have to. You gotta caress them and love them, and hug them and squeeze them.
There'll be no caressing on the battlefield.
But I do like them, so I'd give them a 7.
Don't get too many of them though.
No.
during the game, honestly, Guy is the one I can think of. There might be somebody else that I'm sure there is somebody else that I just forget.
No, because they're kind of.
But Guy's the
Carol's
main.
already evolved. Carol's already promoted by that,
He's already a sword master.
which is amazing. Those.
Sword masters are pretty good, but again, take tons of damage.
I would.
Somebody with a spear can still damage them pretty damn badly.
That's why he carries spear killers. Or lance killers. I'd give them an 8 because they if they can hit
If
it
they're critical going.
right, if they can
Pretty
get
good.
that going, then you
Cool attack. It does a jumping, sort of a dragon punch thing.
right.
Looks kind of cool.
As I say, if you can get them to go after mage users or magic users real quick, that can take them out unless they're really high in defense.
Yeah. We don't really get them much, but the soldier. I guess you can't really control them though, can you? Let's skip the soldier. I don't think you can control them at all. So, the fighter. Yeah, I didn't rank the sword master. I'm going to give him a 7. Sorry, I didn't even realize that.
Because you're soulless.
No, I like them. They're all right, but you only get the one essentially if you don't level up guys.
I'm
The
trying.
fighter. You get quite a few of these.
I was
dudes.
about to say, Dorcas. He's
What a great name.
what an
Dorcas.
amazing.
He's pretty cool though.
He's
He's kind of the silent,
He
strong,
actually-
silent type.
he shows up in the previous game too, which is Nice. If I recall right.
It
Or
shows up fairly early in
or
this one.
in Bar, I think it's Barcher. Barcher might be the one that shows up.
Bartre?
Yeah.
Bartre or
Barcher.
Bartre.
Yeah. But like
Interchangeable, these two guys. They're
I was gonna say,
essentially just exactly the same, just
I
color
opted
palette.
to use both of these guys and and got them really really high, and
Yeah.
they were glorious. But the fighter level, I would give him about a 7 because they can still whiff and they can.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 6 because of that. They miss quite a bit actually, and if they have the hand axes, they're quite ineffective.
Mm.
But I like the look of it. I just love the axe, just, and how he's sort of bouncing and he's huffing because the axe is so big kind of on the screen. I like the look a lot. But yeah, only 6 just because they miss quite often. What about the warrior then? So the upgrade.
The upgrade's amazing. Oh, man,
They're pretty good.
They're
Pretty
violent.
good.
Violent.
Kind of cool looking. They've got this sort of almost feather boa things on their shoulders and stuff.
They do some mighty.
They're all right.
damage.
They're all right. Interesting combo, the bow and the axe. Hey, that's an interesting combo.
It's a damning combo too, because
No, it's good. It's good.
if you
Just,
can get that
very unique.
that bow level up there, and then like, oh, surprise, and then chop them in little pieces.
Right. You get who's the guy you get later on in the game with the purple hair? He's already a warrior. What's
Geist or no, Gates? I think is something.
something? Yeah.
He doesn't show up in one of them. I think you have to go. A certain path.
Maybe you're right. Oh, you're right because he actually attacks you.
Right.
A certain character, I forget who. Someone has to talk to him, and then he sort of, whoa, I didn't know you're part of this team kind of thing.
I think Dart. I think Dart's the one, the pirate.
Oh, you're right. I think it is Dart. All right. Speaking of that, let's go with the pirate.
Nah, he sucks.
You only get one, so.
I thought he was lying.
Yeah, I like
never
Dart.
used him.
I love the double axe and
But
I like him. I'm going to give him a 7. And then what about the Corsair?
I never used him, so
No,
I have gotten him before.
I guess.
Well, I have used him before, but not this time. But yeah, I did. I don't.
He's basically the fighter and the warrior, just that he can go on water. I mean, so he can be effective at times, and he's pretty strong. He might be stronger than the warrior actually because he doesn't have the bow, so his strength and stuff goes up higher. So I personally like using him. I use him right to the end even.
Okay.
I find him quite effective.
Give
But he can only use an axe.
a
too.
5.
Then we got the Berserker.
That's Hawkeye, right? Guys.
Yeah, I like Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. I mean, you get him,
And he can
late
take
in the
shit tons of
right.
damage. Like, you can have him in there.
He's pretty good to use. Even if you don't level him up, he can still be used kind of later on. You're like, I need a character that won't die. Hawkeye, go, kind of thing.
Yeah. He gets quite a bit of health.
Yeah, so I'd give him an 8.
At least 60, I think I had him up to 61 or 2 hit points. He's pretty good. Plus, he's just so massive, right? He looks so big on the screen. And if you give him that killer axe, ooh, watch out. He's deadly. Oh, he's deadly with that thing. So.
Yeah, I give him.
I'm going to go 9, actually. I really found it
Okay.
effective. But he can miss, too, sometimes. And when you really need him to come through in the clinch and you're like, I need you to do this critical hit, it seems about 50-50. He's actually pretty good. You're like, oh, it only says maybe 30 or 40 or something, but he's pretty effective. Yeah, go. Hawkeye, go.
Yeah.
I probably just love anyone named Hawkeye. I mean, I love the Marvel Comics Hawkeye. So if you name your character Hawkeye, I'm probably going to like him. All right, so we get the Archer.
See, a lot of people hate Archer units in Fire Emblem, mainly because they can't counter when they're, one, like, square.
1-to-1?
Yeah, 1-to-1 counter, like, because Archers have to attack from 2 out.
Yeah, but I personally don't mind that. I think it is a little weird. If you were in a battle, I mean, you probably would shoot your arrows if you're that close still, but
well,
I would say 7. They're pretty effective still.
Who did you like using more, Rebecca or Will?
Will. Rebecca is okay, but Will just seems to have a little bit more damage.
He does. Will's got a lot more going for him than Rebecca.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird because you would just think they would be kind of similar, but Rebecca does seem a bit weaker.
Will's
I don't know if she
fairly
improves. Yeah, I don't know if she improves a lot over time.
Not enough.
I don't know. I haven't used her that far. So,
So, I'd give these guys an 8. I like to use them. I do. I like
then
them.
what about the sniper?
Will Sniper?
Oof.
He's glorious. I'd give him a 9.
He's got that bow that's bigger than himself. He's like, he's holding the arrow way over his head as he shoots.
The arrow looks like a damn...
Those silver bows. Oh, so, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go 8.5. At least Will. I don't know about Rebecca, as you said. But another character that's quite similar, the Nomad.
That's a little... That's an interesting kind of addition because they have the short bow, which is kind of like a more critical one there, if I recall. Isn't it like the short?
I don't think it's more critical. I just think it's
or more accurate or something.
Maybe more accurate. Maybe that's
there's something about it, but I
don't really use it.
I generally don't use him. Just I don't.
The what's the guy's name? Wrath.
Wrath. Yeah.
Wrath comes with that longbow though at first, which is pretty helpful. So he can shoot 2 spaces beyond. Right. I like him. I use him for a while, and then I usually don't get him to level up. I use him for quite a bit, and then I just get to that range of level 18, 19 or whatever, and I'm just like, he was effective, but I don't really feel the need to use an item to promote him.
Personally, I'd give him a 6.
I'm going to give him a 7.5. The Nomad Trooper, I think I've used once or twice. I did try to level up, I think, once, and it's all right. I mean, he gets a sword and a bow, but you don't really ever feel he needs to charge into battle with the sword. You're just like, why would I be doing that now? It's just more of a defensive thing for himself, right? More or less. So I'd probably even go down. I might even say 7. I think the Nomad feels more effective.
I've never actually leveled him up. I'll be honest.
Okay.
So I never got to experience the wonderful trooper.
Oh, fair enough. All right. What about the Cavalier?
Cavalier. I like Cavaliers. They're good. Yep. Sort of, depending on which one you go with. There.
Not Lowell. He's pretty shit.
I was gonna say like Kent is not a. He's not as good as Sane is.
They work in tandem well though, because Kent's a little more accurate, but Sane's a little more reckless, so he does more damage.
Right.
But Kent's sort of streamlined, right? He's sort of in the middle. Like his stats just kind of grow all around. He's very more generic.
And Lowen does suck.
He's so crap.
Lowen is the worst.
He's not.
He needs to.
He's got a decent look, so you're thinking, okay, this guy might be okay, but he's not very good.
I'd give him.
But Sane is insane when it comes to damage. But man, he also he gets smoked. Yeah. He can get taken out pretty easily.
Yeah, so. I'd give him a 6.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 7. What about the paladins then?
Well, the early ones are just there to take hits and beat you.
Marcus. You become too reliant on him, especially as a new player. Right? You're like, this guy can destroy everybody, and then you realize near the end you're screwed by just using Marcus all the time.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, he's useful. He's good. He's obviously really good.
He's good for taking hits.
He's a sort of he's sort of ultimately he's not good for the team, right? Ultimately. So and then you get Isadora.
Yeah, she's terrible.
She's not very good. So I'm actually going to go down. I think the Cavaliers are more effective. In general, like
the Paladin
is like
pretty
6.
I'd probably agree with you on that one.
But they get to use all the weapons, which is effective, which is kind of cool. We're starting to hopefully peter this out here. Pegasus Knight.
Now you got this is the thing that I didn't like about this game was that you could only get the triple Pegasus, the Pegasus sisters, like through Hector's mode. And the thing is if you can surround an enemy on 3 different sides with them, they'll do an automatic crit and just destroy units and stuff. And of course you can't do that until you only play Hector's mode, where you get Farina. But I personally like the Pegasus. So Pegasus.
Florina get lost. I don't like.
I like them. So
I don't like Florina. Just the first one, you guys.
Well, she
super weak at first. She gets shitty weapons, and then
She can be fairly decent if you
She can be, but I think I have
good
gone to the trouble, but this time I just didn't feel like going to the trouble at all.
So
And I think
Fiora
she
is all right.
she died a few times on me, so I just got a little frustrated and I just took her out of the party.
You're off the team.
Yeah, she was
Match
off.
warmer.
So.
And
then the Falcon Knight falls. Sorry, you were
I
saying?
was gonna say I give the Pegasus Knight probably like a 7.
No, I'm just gonna go 4. I just didn't find them.
Yeesh.
The Falcon Knight then.
I'd give him an 8. They can be pretty good.
Yeah, probably 6.5. The Wyvern Rider.
I do very well with these guys.
These guys are tough. You've got to know what you're doing with them. They're not easy to use.
They're not good
But
to use.
when you use them properly, they've got to sit at the back a lot of the time, and then they rush in for that big attack. They can be really good.
I'd give them a 2. No. I never liked.
Pretty much everything hurts them, though. Pretty much. I mean, magic destroys them. Archers destroy them. Axes destroy them. The only thing you can really be effective against is the swords. So, but I do like them. I don't know why. I do like them. I'll probably go 7. So the Wyvern Lord is basically the same thing, right? Just a little bit more pop. Yeah, 7.
3.
So I find them effective, and I don't like the Pegasus Knights.
I think that's
Pegasus Knights have the magic thing going for them.
That's why I like that a lot.
But I just found that they would get smoked like all the time. Archers would just be like, "Hey,
how you doing?" So you need to steal the shield.
Yeah, well,
I can't remember what that is. There's a shield that you can get that will stop that from happening.
Le Monk. The monk.
The monk.
Not too effective. I really don't. I don't know. Don't find use for them really. Not enough black mages for me to be concerned enough to use them.
I would say, yeah, not terrible. I'd like to use them, and if you level them up and get them to like the S class or like the A and S class ranks for the weapon, the light tome, I guess, but light tome, but I would probably give them 7.5.
Oh, pretty high.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go 5.5. Not too effective for me. The Cleric.
I like them a lot, so I'd probably go with probably an 8.
Okay, I'm gonna go 7. I mean, good. They're not bad. Just not much map movement, right? They can't move very far on the map. The Bishop, pretty good.
I mean, yeah, Renault can be good.
But
I'd probably just go with like a 7.
Okay, I'm gonna go 6.5. The Troubadour, I don't even know.
Troubadour,
or whatever. Troubadour.
The Zelaver.
I use this one much more than the Cleric, to be honest.
As I say, she can be pretty good.
Just has the ability to move across the map a lot.
Right.
Easier. Generally, there's only a couple maps where it's not effective.
7.
I'm gonna go 8. The Valkyrie doesn't look anything like a Valkyrie. Same thing essentially, right? But now you can use some magic, so can defend themselves, which is nice. But unfortunately, can't heal themselves. Quite an interesting proposition. You can heal others, but not thyself. So you got to use those forts if they get in trouble. But yeah, I'll probably stick with 8, I guess. The Mage.
These are pretty good. So they're 8.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 8. The Sage.
10.
Yeah, the Sages are quite good. Why is the name escaping me? Pent. Pent, the one guy you get later on.
Yeah.
Pent and Louise.
Louise, right?
Louise, yeah. I like Pent, but I like leveling up. Is it Urk?
Yeah.
I like leveling him up. He gets pretty good actually. So.
Yeah, Pent's not too bad.
Pent and him together, good team. Good team. All we got left here is the Shaman.
Awesome,
but kind of hard to use.
When you get around to kind of getting used to how to use them, they are pretty saintly.
Yeah, the Druid.
I'd give them a 9.
So Shaman is 9.
Yeah.
And Druid.
That's a 10.
Okay. I think I've used the druid just the one time, but the shaman's pretty good. I'll go 8.
Yeah.
The bod and the dancer.
I 5.
Yeah, I mean, interesting idea, right?
Mm.
But can't level up, can't defend themselves.
Well, they can level up, but it's just...
Well, sorry, they can't be promoted,
right.
I guess. The transporter,
Merlinus.
Yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah,
and once he gets the wagon, once he levels up, pretty good actually.
It's nice to kind of use him.
When he sits there at the tent, it's worth going through the pain, actually. It actually is.
I'd say 7.
I like the idea. I'm going to go 8. And I did miss one. That is the knight. Big stocky knight.
Big stocky knight. These guys are great.
These are pretty good.
Wallace not so much, but Oswin.
Oswin?
He's pretty much Hector light.
Yeah, pretty close actually. Well, he becomes what Hector will become later on, because early on he actually is pretty strong and pretty defensive.
Well, yeah, but even later on he can be pretty darn good.
No, when he's like a top end general. Well, we got to give a score to the knight still.
I'd probably say an 8.
I'm going 8.5, and in general
9.
I'm going 9.5. I think the generals are incredibly useful. Just the only thing is that they're slow. And they can't move too far. But once you block one of those guys on a bridge or something, you're good. Like, you might need a healer once or twice at the most. Once they're on the bridge, Oswin's the man. You're like, Oswin, block that bridge. Okay. And he like just stands there, and you got archers behind him and axe throwers, and you're good. Like, he's ready to rock. And plus, later on, when he gets the axe, and it's got that amazing animation of it on that chain. It like flies straight forward, like crushes someone's skull, and then like he like whips it back. Pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
What an amazing animation. I wonder where they even thought of that. Like, they could have. Who's that? Well, the warrior has that giant swing. His whole body swings, but they went with this flying axe. Pretty cool.
I think it's from the previous game, but I think there's something similar to it. That's
almost similar to Scorpion's spear from Mortal Kombat. It sort of is, right? It's just with an axe, a giant axe. Pretty cool.
I was imagining that they're like hand, and it's just a robotic hand, and just comes detached and
propels forward with like a rocket propulsion system or something on it. And, yeah, all right. Well, that was a pretty long 10 Degrees of Taylor.
Yeah, it was. Jesus.
Hopefully people sat through that. Yeah, I was hoping to go a little faster, but anything else you want to cover here quickly?
The villains.
The villains.
What did you think of the antagonists?
They're okay. I mean, I like the idea of the Black Fang, this sort of, I don't know, they're almost like a nomadic tribe in a way, and they sort of get pulled into this conflict. It doesn't really feel like they necessarily want to fight, but they're sort of drawn in by these other causes. The girl's name's escaping me with the gold eyes.
Sonya?
Yeah, I could kind of do without her. She's all right. She's just sort of this character pulling the strings, but she's not really effective to me. The main villain, his name's also
Nergal.
Nergal.
That's actually, if I recall right, I think that's in reference to an old like epic tale or something. I could be wrong, but a lot of the names that they draw are from that, especially his weapon. His weapon is based off of that.
He starts out as almost a Saturday morning cartoon villain with his eye covered and like, I'll get you kind of here and there. A little bit, not too bad, but as the story progresses, you get a bit more of what's going down with him and such. He's all right. I mean, if I had to rank him, I wouldn't say like he's one of the most memorable villains I've ever seen, kind of thing. But he has his motive. It's a little bit cheesy. It's just sort of shaking his fist at the world in a little bit of a way. But
that's where the Hector
little
side stories come in and kind of help paint that a bit more, because they if you do all the side stories for that deal with Kishnua, which is that kind of the magic suppressor, the magic seal kind of guy.
Yeah.
Once you do kill Nergal, it will actually have a little bit more dialogue, not too overly much more, but it'll kind of connect everything, and
Right.
you kind of feel bad for Nergal.
Kind of, I guess, but
So,
there is a decent amount of story that gets revealed quite late in the story. One thing I didn't like is this game's pacing kind of sucks. I mean,
it's a little
it's all back ended, right? You're going through chapter after chapter, and it's just we're going to go to this town, and they're just on this goofy journey almost, and then finally there's this breaking point, and there's suddenly this information dump, and this and this and this, and you're like, oh come on, this could have been spread out a little bit, I think, but. That's one thing I don't like about the game. I just feel the end is just talk, 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 talk. Here's a huge battle, and then talk, 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 and it's not paced well.
Yeah, the pacing is a little. I think this is where the Hector mode helps, because it does kind of help when you do the side stuff. Actually, give you some kind of tidbits to nibble on and stuff.
It does, but it doesn't mean the game gets stretched out quite a bit at the end. It feels like. There probably could have been points where they could have had you visit the sacred temple and someone could have given you some more information on what's going on, kind of thing, instead of we just got to go to the dragon seal and and that's quite a bit of the game, actually, just sort of marching from town to town, and now we're on a boat. This kind of thing. It's fine, and a lot of players are probably going to skip the story, honestly, anyways. They just want to get from battle to battle, and you can do that. You can skip everything. But yeah, I just kind of find that the back end of the story is just way too heavy. I think they could have done a better job with that. That would probably be my biggest complaint with the game.
Yeah, it's a little. So, but yeah.
Not bad, just not done well, not paced well.
Well, yeah, it's not the best pacing, but yeah, not really. I can't really argue. It's not like that. Yeah. So I think there are a few games that kind of do that way. So
there's plenty of games that do that. I mean, you get one of the most important characters shows up literally pretty much at the end, and he's like, "I'm gonna join the battle." And I could have used you the whole game, you asshole.
Thanks for jumping in. To steal the glory.
And he's absolutely vital to the last battle even. It's not just sort of, I'll help. It's like, I will do everything now.
Not necessarily. Not if
just about, though.
Not if your lords are beefy.
Well, you're still taking a bit of a chance if you move them in a certain spots on the map. So
well, that's where Panis comes in handy. He totally tells Nurgle to shut the hell up. Yeah, and also...
Wait, who?
Huh?
Wait, who did you say?
Are you talking about the Nurgle fight, or...?
Yeah.
Yeah, Canis, the druid. He gets pretty beefy, and using it...
Oh, sorry, I thought you said somebody else. Okay.
No, and then also Lucius, if you get Lucius up there, fully developed and everything, he'll put the smack down on... Not Matthew, unfortunately. Matthew.
Yeah, well,
he would die.
Yeah. 1,000 horrible deaths.
Right. He would not.
He's all right as an assassin. He's all right. The other guy's better.
Legault.
Letter L.
Legault.
What's his name? Legault. Yeah. He's okay as a assassin, but yeah, assassin. Don't do too well in there.
So.
It's those magic spells.
And I think the game is...
Nils probably would be too effective.
And Nils... Well, no, it depends. If one of your lords needs to do the final blow.
I'm talking about Nils one-on-one.
Yeah, that one.
Just giving Negrol a second chance to kill me.
You'd only need one.
You'd only need one. Sure. Maybe he would dodge the first one, though.
I don't,
Think he was awesome. Anyways, we probably
we need to
wrap
wrap
this up.
this up. um,
Yeah. Any final words?
um, if you've never played a Fire Emblem game, I would say try to find this one. I don't think it's available on the virtual console, the Wii U
I
one.
believe you're correct.
It's
Unfortunately, I don't think it is.
it just came out for the Japanese one a couple months ago, so
Oh, so then there could be hope.
yeah. Um, if you can find a way to play it, it's a nice starter one that, I mean, if you do like it, there's a lot to dig into.
Hmm.
So, and if you don't like it, you can be like, at least it wasn't stressful. Then you can just kind of be like, okay, you guys are assholes. You shouldn't have suggested this. But I like it. There's a whole lot of other stuff that we didn't get to talk about. And
No.
kind of, yeah. But I mean,
Those
that's
umbrella, umbrella edition.
So, but I mean, yeah, there's just so much other stuff that's little nuances that makes Fire Emblem Fire Emblem, and it's without the supports and everything, it just wouldn't be the same. So, give it a try.
Try it if you can find it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it will become a downloadable game. I don't know, but I would guess a lot of GBA games have unfortunately gone up in price, especially complete copies of stuff.
Mm.
I fortunately hung on to mine, so I have the complete copy, but I'm sure that they're not going cheap on eBay or wherever else. So, but maybe the cart you might be able to find, maybe if you're lucky, $20, $30. Don't quote me on that. But
I was about to say, I got the full things in Japan, and they were kind of expensive. So it's
okay. So then they're probably fairly expensive in North America.
Right, it's a bit of a pricey one.
Right. But if you're looking, if you do like strategy RPGs and you're looking for something a little different, and you still have your GBA or your DS, I guess DS Lite or DS kicking around, it's worth looking into for sure.
Especially with its awesome music.
Yeah, pretty good music.
Just keep going. I told you to keep going. Jeez.
I don't know what else to say to that. I'm just gonna let you sing. So, but yeah, try to track this one down. If you, I was gonna do the drum beat, but I've forgotten it. So, the bongo beat. But yeah, if you can track this one down and you do like strategy RPGs, give it a shot for sure. It's one that's worth checking out.
Indeedy. So yeah.
All right. I guess with that we will wrap it up. So thank you for listening to another episode of Power On Podcast Portable. We hope you enjoyed our very brief look, well, a little bit long, on Fire Emblem today for the GBA, which is, could you once again say the Japanese name, please?
Fire Emblem Neka no Ken.
Okay, so just Fire Emblem in North America, and I apologize, I don't know if it was just called that in Europe, but it probably was just called Fire Emblem.
Blazing Sword!
Yeah. So check it out, and we hope to catch you again next time.